Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whoever is in. Gosh, I can't speak. Done 4 hours of radio today, and I've lost my ability to communicate in English. What's happening? Another edition of Q&A with Wob. It is Wednesday, 3:24 p.m. Pacific time, 6:24 Eastern, just past noon on the islands. What's happening, people? Welcome in. All righty. Well, this turned into an eventful off day. That news was as surprising as it was predictable. The Bus family has sold the Los Angeles Lakers. That's crazy to say out loud. Well, they've sold a majority share based on the minimal information that we have received. The minimal information that has been transmitted to us sounds like the Bus family will have a very similar Mark Cuban situation where they hold a minority stake and she'll continue to be the governor of the team for, well, we kind of know what happened with Mark Cuban. So for now, she's supposed to remain the governor based on these reports that we have been reading. But yeah, $10 million valuation. That's pretty damn steep. That's a lot of damn digits. So that's 10, 11 digits? Sheesh. Lakers. This is why so many people have wasted so much of their life and time arguing over the such little minute details of TV sports ratings. Because once that deal got locked in, that broadcast rights deal, the valuation of these franchises is going to absolutely soar. And knowing that the Dodgers owner, who's now taking control of the majority share of the Lakers, had first right of refusal on if the Bus family ever decided to sell off any additional percentage points of their majority share, that the multiple from when the Dodgers group purchased in 2021 has now doubled from 5 billion up to 10 billion. Sheesh. That is nosebleed territory when it comes to business and valuations. At the end of the day, I mean, the multiple that the Bus family is going to get on their original Lakers investment is going to be one of the greatest success stories in business history, considering they paid what, like 68 million for the Lakers way back in the day, but they also got the Kings, they got the Forum. There was more included in that $68 million. And for them to cash out this one little franchise entity, not even completely, but at a $10 billion valuation, it's going to be quite the cash windfall. And I don't really have any additional information that you don't know other than what we can search. And even if I did, I probably wouldn't share it with you all because of personal relationship with the obvious. But I hope everyone's happy, right? I hope everyone's happy with this news. I don't even want to feed into the rumors that you do this because you're broken, you're out of money, and Laker fans were always yelling at their ownership group for being cheap, even though it was never about being cheap. You guys say that they're cheap because of what happened with Alex Caruso until you realize they spent that money anyway. They spent all that Alex Caruso money on other players. They just made an assessment at the time that that one individual was not worth that amount. So that was more an evaluation problem than, a source of funds problem. But there's no point in reasoning with fans at this point. It's just revisionist history. All right, let's scroll these chats really quick and see what's up. What you guys want to talk about? What's for dinner tonight? I might make a turkey. Well, I have sliced turkey, boar's head, pepperoni. Put it on a bagel with some cheese and some hot sauce. It sounds like pretty easy night. Thunder covering by 1 and then 2 is not exactly reassuring. Oh, you're talking about the final? Yeah. Those were two excruciating covers if you had the Pacers in both of those games. What is it for game? It's got to be steep for game 6. Shout out to Prophet X for having our lines up anytime I get a question. 6.5 in Indiana. 6.5 in Indiana for game 6. That's as big of a 6.5 at -103 is as big as it gets, at least in this particular series. What else you guys got? Let's see. Maverick Mike says, whoa, just now hearing about the Lakers. Yep. People are slowly going to learn throughout the day. Not everyone has notifications turned on for Shams. The Lakers, the Buss family has sold. That's the breaking news of the day. The Buss family has sold a majority share of the Los Angeles Lakers to the same group that owns the Dodgers, and the two are very intertwined here in Los Angeles. They've had a commensalism relationship. Guys, remember that class from high school biology? Your what do they call those symbiotic relationships? It's certainly commensalism. The two, or maybe it's more mutualism. Commensalism is the small fish that cleans the gills of the great white, and the great white lets it live. Mutualism is mutualistic, where both parties are benefiting, right? What else? Are the Celtics and Spurs cooking up a blockbuster? Where you guys get your information from? Twitter? When are you going to stop learning to believe all of these random ass accounts that created to troll you into questions like that? Lando asks, how do you feel about the Pacers wearing the same yellow uniforms for 2 months straight? Well, they wore the city editions in the first round. Thankfully, they got rid of those Comic Sans wearing teal, sky blue, and spray painted. Yeah, horrendous. I mean, you're right, they've been wearing the same yellow uniforms. Even in the nostalgic 90s days, they did have the away navy blues and then the whites at home. They eventually pivoted to the pinstripe. They had some slight pinstripes at the end of the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, with those corn uniforms. Yeah, there's been a lot of non-finals basketball news. So we had the trade for Desmond Bane to the Magic. We had the Pacers making a finals trade around the draft, and now we have what I would consider to be the second biggest business transaction possible. Well, third, but at least second when it comes to individual franchise entities, behind only the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. That the Lakers are now the biggest sale of a franchise to date. $10 billion valuation. It's got to be the highest. I'm sure there's got to be a team like us, Manchester City or something, being sold. Maybe that was higher when you do a conversion rate of pounds to dollars. But this is as big a business as it possibly gets. And considering the Celtics just sold for $6.1 billion, I mean, there's a steep difference there between the two. Now, there's more that goes into these valuation prices, and that's why I said third if you include all entities instead of second. And I think even the Warriors might jump the Lakers because of the Warriors and Knicks, because the Knicks ownership of Madison Square Garden being a publicly traded company, as well as the MSG network, right? Those are all different parts of the business that the Dolan family has control of. So the Rangers too, there's a lot more that goes into it than just the individual transactions of the franchises. But for that just one particular team, that's a shit ton of money. Shit ton of money. Luca dollars. Yeah, again, I don't know anything you don't. So running the risk of some lurker in the chat right now, because there is a lot of people in here. I have to imagine there's a lot of lurkers that are screen recording this right now, thinking they're going to get me to say something about Genie or the Lakers, and I slip. And I promise you I won't. So don't waste your time. Give me a second here. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to be skeptical until I see what LeBron and Luca do because LeBron's got an option coming up, and Luca's only under contract for another season. Is Shouldn't these extensions be taken care of here in the foreseeable future? I think that's certainly realistic. And the longer that goes, the more questions will be asked because the idle mind is a devil's playground. So we have heard of some business ventures that LeBron has outside of the United States, outside of the NBA, that people have been um, prospecting the realistic possibility of. I don't know what will come to fruition, but it's just so hard for me to believe considering how much the Bus family loves the Lakers. Can I propose something to the chat and get your feedback on this real quick? Like I know most people in here, we're all from different backgrounds, right? And different appreciations of money and dollar and worth. But like owning the Lakers, like I don't know if there's an amount of money that can be put onto the table to make up for just how cool it is to own the Lakers. Because the Lakers are worth that on paper, obviously. And if you told me I'll give you $10 billion for the Lakers and I'm already rich, like how much more rich do I need to be? And that's a me thing because I would still live in this apartment. I love living here. Even if I had $1 billion, I would still live here. I'm comfortable here. I have everything I need. But somebody else with other business ventures and such, like if you own the Lakers, the arguably the coolest property in professional sports, certainly subjective. And if you hate the Lakers, you're going to say you're an idiot. I totally get that. But their popularity, their brand recognition, their influence on culture, to say that you own that you built that. I don't know what I would do with my five because remember, they're not selling their entire equity share. So it's not just here's $10 billion cash. And maybe that's partly why they're retaining some of their equity and trying to stay involved with the franchise so they can feel like they're still part of the team that they built up. So I think there is a happy medium there. But if it was white or black, right? If you had to choose one or the other, I know me personally, I would rather just be cash poor, cash illiquid, and still own the Lakers because it's the fucking Lakers. The same goes for the Celtics too, right? That's a worldwide brand. And I'm sure they have their reasons, but it's kind of me just thinking out loud. Before I get to the answers, Armand asks, did I bet any baseball tonight? Real quick, before I get to the answers, I did bet some baseball. I'm not going to lie. So I did hit a big Panthers -1.5 at +170 last night. Just to let you guys know. Let's see. I bet the over between the Orioles and the Rays. I bet the over between the Angels and the Yankees. And I'm also on the Toronto Blue Jays. So I need to just put $10 on this. Here we go. Here. This is this is off night activities here. I'll be watching a lot of baseball tonight, especially with no more hockey to take advantage of. I need to watch more hockey because I'm sure good at. All right, $10. There you go. Go Blue Jays. Play of the day. All right, let's keep going. What's up, chat? There's our favorite vegan Barbie. Is Ballmer still the richest NBA daddy, or is he dethroned? If you're talking about overall wealth, no one's touching Ballmer. I don't even think Bill Gates has Ballmer money now. Yeah, Ballmer is one of the richest people on the planet. There's difference there. I mean, this was a big transaction, but that amount that he paid for the Clippers feels like a discount now, considering it's in Los Angeles. I understand it's different than the Lakers, but man, that was a lot at the time. Not so much anymore. Inflation is real. They are very cheap in other ways, specifically with staff. Oh, you're talking about the Lakers? I'm just not going to agree with you on that one. But I'm obviously biased towards a very close friend of mine. And I know some of the workings on the inside, so I'm just gonna refute that and say she's got my support. Was hoping for spaghetti and meatballs. And well, I made spaghetti with meat sauce 2 nights ago. So I have to take at least 2 days off in between. Plus 6.5 for injured Halliburton. Hey, yeah, so let's I do want to keep I know you guys are continuing to answer questions in the chat, and I will get back to it. But man, I really enjoyed these past couple shows that I've done, Give and Go, as well as the post game show with Coach Sam Mitchell, because he provided some interesting perspective as a former player and coach on the Halliburton situation in the finals right now. I was personally very adamant and disappointed with Tyrese Halliburton during the post game show because, again, you only have like 30 seconds to get your thoughts together before the final buzzer and me going live. And my initial impression was I felt like Tyrese Halliburton let his team down and hold on a second. Let his team down. It's always calling me. Hold on. I just lost my damn signal because someone's calling me. All right. Halliburton. So I was disappointed because I'm like, man, if you are that banged up and you are that irrelevant that night, you were cut off from society by Lou Dort. Like, you were put into the SHU program, solitary housing unit, by Lou Dort. That you have to raise your hand and say, Coach, take me out. I can barely get up and down the floor. I'm dealing with now is an aggravated calf strain. And I give you anything more than 60%. And this is almost a burden and a detriment to my teammates if I'm out here. So why would he not walk over to Rick Carlisle and say, Coach, take me out, man? Otherwise, I feel like I'm going to let the team down. And then Coach Mitchell told me a story about the time that he tore his meniscus when he was playing with, I think it was the Pacers. No, it was the Timberwolves. When Sam Mitchell was with the Timberwolves, tore his meniscus, and they told him you got to power through it. And then he powered through it the rest of the season because it was more of a pain management thing. And then he ended up having to get microfracture surgery at the end of the season. But there is this sentiment, mentality, expectation with players that if you're hurt, you got to play, especially in the playoffs and the finals. If you're injured, that's something different. If you have something broken, if you have a torn Achilles, like, okay, you get the sign off that you can sit out because that's a serious injury. But he goes, it's not that easy. And if you're a player, you will never, ever show a sign of weakness. You always have to say, put me out there, coach. I'm good to go. And then the coach has to make the decision to take you off the floor. But considering that Halliburton went back to the locker room in the first quarter, was evaluated by the training staff, and Carlisle's not back there with him because obviously he's out on the floor coaching the game. He has to look down the bench and say, thumbs up, thumbs down. Can he go? You get a thumbs up from the training staff. You get a thumbs up from Tyrese Halliburton, and then he goes back into the game. But with TJ McConnell scoring or assisting 18 points in that third quarter alone, like, that could have gone so much differently in the fourth if you had him out there instead of a completely immobile gargoyle in Tyrese Halliburton, who could barely get through screens, dribble handoffs. Like, Lou Dort had him in a straitjacket. He was doing nothing for the entirety of that game. And maybe it wasn't on Halliburton. Maybe it's more on Rick Carlisle to identify, all right, he doesn't have it tonight. Let's get TJ McConnell back out there. But by trotting Halliburton out there, banged up, risking injury for a guy that's supposed to be your franchise cornerstone for the next decade was unnecessary. I thought it cost him game 5. And I should have placed blame more on the collaborative effort here and on Rick Carlisle identifying that Hallie just doesn't have it tonight. It's okay to take him out of the game, especially considering how valuable he is to that franchise. We don't need to have another Kevin Durant situation. And the difference between Kevin Durant and Tyrese Halliburton is that when Kevin Durant went down in Golden State, he was near free agency. That was one summer after the jokes that were made by Bob Fitzpatrick and Fitz and Bob Myers during the parade about Kevin Durant not deserving his contract because Steph's been there longer or whatever. Like all things had piled up. You don't want to have an Isaiah Thomas situation, the Boston Celtics one, the king of the fourth, who built that brand throughout the entirety of the postseason. And then he powers through a shoulder injury. He ends up costing himself $200 million in extension because he gets seriously injured. The Celtics don't reward him with a deal anywhere close to that. And the rest was kind of history. So there has to be some sort of balance there. And Carlisle running him for like 10 game minutes, which is 30 real life minutes, with him looking so mortal, I thought was the difference in game 5 and ultimately going to be the difference in this series. Okay, so I need to reconnect to my my phone really quickly. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pop back in here. Okay. Okay. Now I can see your guys' chats. Hopefully that makes some sense. All right. Now let me see. Scroll back up and catch up. Wobbyologist. I don't know what that's in reference to. How awkward is it going to be be at the Fanatics fan event with Wemby and KD together? I don't think KD's going to San Antonio. I think they're Giannis hunting. What does this deal mean for Wob as a season ticket holder? I participated in like the select a seat, moving around. I didn't, my rows, I have such good seats now. I'm at the front of the price break. So I'm in row 7 behind the basket. If I move to row 6, there'd be a huge jump in price. So I can't do any better than I currently am. And then I have seats in like row 17 as well. So yeah, I renewed them. I would renew my Lakers tickets even if Kendall Marshall and Ryan Kelly were on this team. The Laker tickets are just always like Knicks tickets. They're through the roof. Demand is going to be there regardless because of tourism. Taylor asks, who is going to be the Knicks coach? I figured they would have had a plan in place by now. Your guess is as good as mine. How much could Dolan get for the Knicks? Again, Dolan will never sell. And in the event that he did, they are the most complicated situation because of Madison Square Garden, the arena, the building, and Dolan's ownership of MSG Network. And he has the Rangers, he has the Knicks. And so any sale that is made of any of those entities is going to affect MSG's stock price. And then you have to get approval for all of these things too if you're a publicly traded company. So good luck. Good luck getting ever just the Knicks being sold. Like that's never, just get it out of your head. It's never going to happen. It would have to be like a galactic purchase of all of those assets because you can't just sell. Look at the Steve Cohen with the Mets. Obviously bought the team, but the Wilpons also owned SNY, the network. And if I'm not mistaken, at least when the original transaction was made, they were being sold off separately. So you have to take all those things into consideration. And the difference is the Mets aren't a part of a publicly traded company like MSG is. Wouldn't you imagine the value is only going to increase over time? Why would you not hold on to it? Well, there's no guarantee on that. Just because we've been in a bull market, especially with sports, for the last couple decades doesn't mean it's just going to keep going up. It's likely, but it's not guaranteed. And also, if you don't have the liquidity to be going into like the second apron to be paying hundreds of millions of dollars in luxury tax, then you kind of got a problem because you can't run the Lakers without paying stars a lot of money, right? And then to be competitive under this collective bargaining agreement, you are going to have to spend a shit ton of money more than you may have access to, which is why you see just a couple of weeks ago, or I'm sorry, 2 months ago, the Dodgers owners announced in a press release that they are partnering with an Abu Dhabi investment firm, and this is where the fun conversation is had regarding um, big money in the NBA, like the business of basketball. So we know that the NBA has been fending off like the PIF and um, fending off a lot of these private equity firms. But when they partner with the Dodgers owners, and then that's how they pay Shohei Ohtani all this money, and they're spending billions and billions of dollars. They have those type of partners that I'm sure, because they've made it public that they're together, help them fund this acquisition at a $10 billion valuation. Um, that's the type of partnership in which you can legally purchase the Lakers because you have that individual, but then the money backing that individual through his companies is private equity affiliated. So while private equity isn't technically allowed as the majority stakeholder in these teams, there's ways to circumvent that. And to see it all play out in this way, it makes sense how this particular ownership group can spend a gazillion dollars on both the Lakers and the Dodgers. Big business stuff, man. This is like the when you're watching um, The Big Short or any mockumentary about a startup like a unicorn of Uber, super pumped on Showtime. Big money stuff. Palmer held so much of Microsoft for so long. That's probably why he has more money, or his net worth's higher than Bill Gates now. Who in NBA media am I closest with? Um, like who's my tightest? I'm sure they wouldn't care if I would. Cassidy, Cassidy. Oh, you said media. Okay, media. Yeah, like Cassidy, Windy, Bontemps, the obvious ones that I've collaborated with throughout time. Um, and then Sirius XM guys like Antonio, Coach Sam Mitchell, the guys behind the scenes there. Anyone you hear on the radio. Yeah, I keep a pretty tight circle. I don't need any new friends other than the community that we've built, plus professional associations and family, right? Carlisle switched his philosophy on trying to turn around a double digit loss with a few minutes left. Huh? Oh, yeah. I know exactly why you're bringing that up, Vegan Bar, because you remember what happened in game one of the Eastern Conference Finals? That they were one, if the Pacers just happened to miss that one shot when Aaron Neesmith got his fifth foul, I am almost certain that he would have emptied the bench against the Knicks. But because they made that one shot, and then, wait, Andrew Nemhard got his fifth foul, and Aaron Neesmith comes onto the floor. Then he makes 6 straight threes, and Carlisle keeps the guys out there. But he has been punting. Carlisle has been punting early if he feels like the game is lost. And while I don't at the running the risk of sounding hypocritical, because I just spent a couple of minutes elaborating why you shouldn't have had Burton on the floor to begin, get him off of the floor. At that point, the game is lost and it doesn't matter. But did anyone listen to the show today? Because Sam Mitchell and we have Tony Allen on every Wednesday. Listening to the two of them, how obvious it was to both of them that, like, man, if you're Halliburton, you got to play. Even if you play poorly, You got to play. If you get that reputation as one of those guys, you will never shake it. You will never shake it. And they say people in the players, they talk so much about those guys specifically that are like warriors that will die on the court for you versus those that are like, ow, my hamstring. I got to sit out tonight in big games, in big moments. And to hear the two of them, in a way, almost make a joke of it, but also be serious because we're in the finals. Go back and listen to it if you're able to. It's in the Sirius XM app, and it's about 25 to 30 minutes. But we spoke about that for about 15, and then the second 15 was Tony Allen breaking down Andrew Nemhard defending one of the worst. What Sam Mitchell was led off the postgame show saying how this is one of the worst defensive performances I've seen from a guard in a long time because of how Andrew Nemhard was telegraphing his icing of the ball screens. And it allowed J-Dub to hit him with a counter every single time, running the whole hedge ice of said screen completely ineffective because then J-Dub just countered him, got into the paint, and was finishing at will. And the timing of how they were attacking those ball screens was on full display for those that have the eye for it. It's really, really good conversation. Nico says Halliburton unfortunately needed to take himself out. It was obvious in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. Not a question. I agree with you. And I guess he could have just he could have collapsed and grabbed his leg and said, okay, that's it. I'm hurt now. You got to take me out. And then the rest of the teammates would have believed him and he wouldn't have been accused of being soft, because you'd be surprised how much these players are concerned about being one of those guys that comes off the floor too soon. I learned that in the past couple of days because I'm right there with you. I was like, Halliburton cost the Pacers the game. He's cost them this series. And if it wasn't for that shot in game one, which is doing a lot of heavy lifting with the narrative, that shot plus game three, that's really been about it. Oh, the symbiotic relationships, yeah. Do the Pacers make a big acquisition this offseason, or do they just run it back? Well, they've told us that you guys saw that trade that occurred. The reason why that trade happened was so that the Pacers, one, they get the roster spot back. Two, a first-round pick has a guaranteed contract. So that is now money, which they're not going to be committed to this season. And they're going to use that to re-sign Miles Turner and probably go into the tax under the apron. So by them processing that transaction and paying him his market value to keep him in-house, that's their way of getting involved. Hey, X reposted the stream. Everyone in here commenting, hit the damn repost button. Help me out a little bit. Would you help our partners out at ProfitX if you guys are enjoying this stream? That really so simple. It's like the equivalent of a YouTube like. Wait, Mama says, I'm headed to game 6 tomorrow, expecting the season to be over, but have to experience a finals game in person. It's certainly not over. And Rick Carlisle is a Hall of Fame coach for a reason. I think you will see some more Pascal Siakam at the 5 lineups to go small and push the pace even faster. I think you'll see Tyrese Halliburton attempt to play until the point that everyone realizes, okay, bro, thank you. We get it, but we can't have you out there. Otherwise, our season's going to end. So then you have the speedy TJ McConnell out there with Obi Toppin, who's the fastest guy on the court. And if they can push the pace faster than they have all postseason, it's going to be with their backs against the wall at home. So you might as well just turn this into a 130, 125 type game. That's where probably your only advantage is against an OKC team that if they're entrenched in the half court set, look what they finally did. Look what this is the first time all series that the Thunder have had a 2x multiple on points conceded off of turnovers versus the actual turnovers themselves. For the majority of these playoffs, if the Thunder had, let's say, if they forced 10 turnovers, they were getting a minimum of 20 points off of those turnovers. Go back to box scores and series averages. In this finals, the Pacers had found a way, despite turning the ball over a gazillion times, just a round number, let's say 20. They were only conceding 20 points off of the turnover. So that multiple had been cut in half. But in that game 5, OKC just blew it wide open. They were getting out into the open floor, the points off of turnovers extrapolated, and they can't have that in a game 6 if they want to stay in this fight. Hey, yeah, thank you for hitting the retweet button, Julio and Mike. LSU baseball. I am not watching. Sorry. I'm sad hockey is over because I was so good at betting on it. But Florida's too good. Thinking of finals game 2 when he gave up with like 3 minutes left. But this last one, he had starters out with no, it was 4 minutes left in game 2. 4 minutes left when Carlisle punted. Strictly vibes, says Wob. I just broke my wrist pretty badly. Any advice? Yeah. Get yourself one of these. Your life will be so much easier. Hope you feel better. How much do people underestimate the fact that most of these guys, this is the longest stretch they've ever played basketball in their lives, and how that impacts them physically? It's hard to prepare for that. Yeah. Miles Turner our show was during media day today, and heard him say like, this is the most gratifying experience, but something you don't necessarily want to do again. It's like fraternity pledging, because of what's required both mentally and physically, and how much travel you're doing, and how you're pushing your body to limits that even these supreme athletes are not necessarily accustomed to, because there's only 2 teams that make the finals. But that's the big difference. If you're a team like the Philadelphia 76ers and you have this entire offseason where your star is not only banged up from a playoff series, but doesn't have to go to training camp and play international ball, gets to take care of their bodies, they have no excuse. Paul George, Joel Embiid, McCain, like all these guys that were banged up going to next year, they've had so many months to get right that if it's not going to happen next season, I don't know when it is. What am I on tomorrow is a question. What am I on tomorrow? NBA. I'm very curious as to what Tyrese Halliburton's points are. Let's find out, shall we? Without even looking, what do you guys guess? Tyrese Halliburton's over-under in points is. I'm going to set it at like 12 and a half. Is he even on the board? He's not even on the board. Nemhard. Oh, here we go. 13 and a half. I made it 12 and a half. I kind of like the under there. I think he is going to get yanked. I think I'm going to play the under here at minus 119 on ProfitX. This is going to be bet on tomorrow. This is probably where I'm leaning. Yeah. We're on the road too. So where's an Aaron Wiggins? Yeah, I like Aaron Wiggins unders. He's been so much better at home. McConnell. Oh, here's the perfect McConnell over 9.5. I'm probably leaning McConnell over 9.5 too. If you're taking the Halliburton under, it only makes sense to take the McConnell over. So one of those two will be the answer. And here on ProfitX, they have the best number by far, by the way, even though there's only $1 of liquidity. You'd have to go to minus 156 to bet it, but give the public a burrito drop. All right, one of these days. I need to really commit to being a full-time burrito influencer. Are there any of those in the world? I just go to different places and drop their burritos and bite into them. There's no such thing as burrito influencers out there. I'm sure of it. Everyone's an influencer nowadays. What else? That's the only questions you have about the Lakers? Wow, I was expecting much more of a curious chat, to be honest, with conspiracy theories and or is it just so obvious to you guys that the reason why this was done? Because they $10 billion valuation, you get to keep some of the team. Jeannie is for now going to be continue to be the governor of the franchise, so she can be the face of it. But is it going to be the same? Is it going to be the same when you don't have the same stake in the game? Create a letterbox for burritos. There are so many burrito places, especially here in Los Angeles, man. How long would it take me to eat at every single burrito place in LA County alone? Has anyone done that? Maybe that's my next niche that I occupy. Back in the late 2000s, it was this NBA market that got me to this point. Police chases for now a decade. Maybe I need to start my next venture, which is around LA burritos. I'm sure there's an LA burrito person, but do they drop their burritos? That's the key. That's the difference, right? There was people talking about the NBA, but I came in at that different angle through Vine and talking about like NBA gambling and stuff, and that's daily fantasy stuff. That was what separated the content originally. There's no point in doing like videos and highlights anymore. So many like accounts out there that are just doing the same shit, right? So I'll have more time now that I don't really do that as much. Shohei, thank you, Shohei, first of all. That it? That's all you guys got today? Wow. Quiet chat. I was expecting maybe you guys really are more engulfed with the finals. And this news doesn't mean it hits me differently, obviously. But how much do you guys actually care? Laker fans care a lot. I described the Devers trade in NBA terms. It's pretty close to the Luka situation, right? Disgruntled star, whether it was current or expected to be paid a shit ton of money that the franchise didn't want to be liable for. But they didn't get back in Anthony Davis. They got back prospects. That's the difference. But Devers is not Luka. It's a lot of money. If the Giants are willing to pay it, then maybe it works out for both sides. But I would be frustrated if I was a Red Sox fan. Yeah. Couldn't get more back. Couldn't get more back. Why not? And like the Mavericks, they said the Red Sox didn't negotiate with anyone other than the Giants. Where would I put my money on KD landing? Oh, this is a complete guess. I don't know anything you guys don't, but my favorite in the clubhouse is Houston. Is there a world that KD just starts the season in Phoenix and then they hold on to him to the trade deadline to see? Because the market right now feels so light. Like Houston's going to offer Reed Shepard, salary cap, like Fred VanVleet, Reed Shepard, a pick, and like Cam Whitmore or Tari Eason, and that's it for Kevin Durant. I wouldn't budge off of that if I'm the Rockets. We're trying to build something similar to Oklahoma City. Minnesota putting Ant-Man and then Julius Randle's going to opt out. You essentially fill Julius Randle's spot with Kevin Durant, even if he doesn't want to be there for a season. Go for the Kawhi Leonard. You're the difference. We're one Kevin Durant away from beating the OKC Thunder. Let's just trade for him. He's 37. Pay him his money. See if we win the title and then figure it out. That's certainly a possibility. The same Kawhi strategy from the Raptors days. So I would say, just personally, I feel like the Raptors, no, I'm sorry, wait. The Rockets and the Timberwolves make a lot of sense. I don't know why Toronto would trade away Barrett, quickly, Pirtle picks for a team that, even with Kevin Durant, is barely going to sniff the playoffs. Can't imagine KD's in a rush to play for the Toronto Raptors either, especially after they booed him after blowing out his Achilles. KD doesn't forget shit like that. Cameron says Pacers win tomorrow and it's a toss-up game 7. Every game 7's a toss-up. There is no such thing as home court advantage in a game 7. Yeah, they'll keep it close. The Pacers are not, even without Halliburton. Even without Halliburton, I don't think you'll even see the line budge that much. The line already has it factored in that he is significantly hurt. Where do I think Giannis lands? I think he'll be with, it's either going to be Milwaukee or San Antonio. Mark Walter and LeBron are English Premier League rivals. Forgot about that. I wonder how much do you think people care about that kind of stuff? Like they own so many different franchises and all these different business ventures. Like, oh, we're competing in that field. Oh, okay. It's like that scene from the show Hacks. You're suing me? Like, yeah. We could still be friends though. You're suing me. Yeah. But that's just that little like business thing that you violated. Otherwise, yeah, you can come over for dinner and stuff. But I'm suing you for that. Like, you're suing me. I don't think that's as much of a detriment to the San Francisco Giants. You have to pay Devers' contract. I don't think he's that overpaid. I think he still rakes. Yeah, I agree with you. I think they just forget, like, oh, we're rivals in the English Premier League because you've got Liverpool and I've got whatever teams I'm invested in. Oh, sweet. Good luck. Bye. I'm like, who cares? Billionaires don't care about that shit, I guess. All right, friends. Well, I'm at nearly Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea. Um, yeah, I'm kind of curious what Laker fans think of today's news, other than just like most Laker fans, you love Genie radically, you hate Genie radically. Can I get a level-headed opinion from someone? But I mean, it was a great day for profit. Like, there's going to be a financial windfall for the Bus family. And there's more than just Genie, by the way. There's multiple kids. So maybe there was some things going on with the family that incentivized them to sell, especially if they're getting this huge multiple. And the Dodgers owners having the first right of refusal if the Lakers were ever put up for sale, considering how good that relationship is, they probably feel like we can still be attached to this franchise while not owning a majority share anymore. So we're not completely out of the game. We are now rich as shit, but I'm just always skeptical because we have what happens in this exact situation where Mark Cuban says, "Oh, I'm going to be the president of basketball operations, and I'm going to lead continue to do my thing and just stick to the whole basketball side." Man, that lasted like a month, and then he was just gone. Not gone, but not. Those responsibilities were no longer his. Put it that way. So yeah, I think the reasoning is that boring because everyone's looking for a giant conspiracy theory. Does this mean Luca's leaving? Does this mean LeBron's leaving? Does this mean that F1 basketball league is going to be formed this offseason? And while there's certainly equity in any type of theory because we just don't know the answers, I think ultimately the reasoning here was the rationale seems pretty obvious unless I'm completely missing something. And I haven't spoken to her enough about this to be able to share. And even if I had the info, I wouldn't share it anyway. No offense, but I'm not telling secrets about you guys to other people, right? The reason why people tell me secrets is because I don't share them. If you, like, one of my best friends I grew up with, love him to death. From the moment we met till the day we die, no matter what happens, we'll be best friends. He can't keep a secret. So I'm like, don't be offended if I don't tell you things because I know you just blabber. He can't help himself. He will blabber to the friend group, to anyone's like, and he'll always say, "You can't tell anyone this, but," and I'm like, "Oh, we've done this for the 1,000th time. All you do is spill secrets." Everyone's got a friend like that, I feel like. It's not Bam Bam. Bam Bam's pretty good at keeping secrets, and he's in the agency business now. He just had a kid sign with Florida, so he did his first deal, his first NIL deal. He got a kid to transfer to the national champions. Maybe the new owner goes back to the Lakers gold, yeah, the yellow jerseys instead of that. That's more of a Nike thing. Because back in the day, that was champion, the gold that you're referencing. But yeah, Laker gold is certainly not highlighter yellow. I'm with you on that one. You're speaking to someone who's definitely gets the show, and that I got plenty of time to complain about jerseys in 2025. All right, friends. Oh, I'm going to sign off today. That was a fun show. That was a fun show indeed. Appreciate you hanging out. We'll be back on Friday, same time, same place. Friday, we may be talking about an NBA champion, or we'll be talking about a game 7. Either way, we win. We will be reacting to game 6, as well as anything else that's on your minds. We appreciate our partners at ProfitX as always. Go Blue Jays. Go Overs, Yankees and Angels. But until next time, I'm going to sign off. GG's in the chat. See you guys soon. Appreciate you hanging out. Adios.